Turn it up. You're listening to Live and Loud with the Lord, Nelson, that is.
Tea and Fuckery.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you know who it is. It is yours truly, the Lord, Nelson, that is, from the podcast Live and Loud with the Lord on the CMS Network with 5 Royals Entertainment. Yeah, listen, we got another special guest. We're doing work. This guy right here is an amazing dude. And I know people like to go off the cuff or whatever like that, but I like to start it off by reading something about these individuals when I do my research on them and just let it be known to the listeners and the watchers about the greatness of these individuals that are on Live and Loud with the Lord. So let me begin like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this young man here is truly one of the most interesting men alive. And I mean that. Not only does he have an amazing podcast, but his life leading up to his podcast has been filled with more experiences and journeys than most people will ever witness, let alone live. He's a musician, former Marine and monk, actor, screenplay writer, porn star.
You're good. Keep going.
We'll get to that. I mean, he knows a few porn stars. He knows a few porn stars.
Yeah, but no, that was the high point. Or were you going to keep going?
I'm still going. And he is an avid film buff, vegan, and is part owner of the Banging Hell's Heart merch company. Man. So ladies and gentlemen, along with Just Nice, Justin Campbell, my guy, man. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I welcome to the Live and Loud with the Lord podcast, Mr. J. Curtis Strickland, host of the Tea and Fuckery podcast. Yeah.
Nelson, what's up, man? Dude, such an honor and a blessing to be here. Really had a great time with your episode. It was like I said, a real pleasure. And I'm ready to chop it up, have a good time. I've been listening to Open Season all week, man.
Hell yeah, I see you. Motherfucker, nah, I don't want to be you. If you come to my place, I'll drop more than just some bass. You'll get a taste of a sick motherfucker from the dirty. I ain't worrying, not a fucking
that's my motivational song now, man. It's it's so good. That Rich Ward riff on there is just slick. Man. And I also listen to, this is my opportunity to not disparage, but Scott Cowan from Violent Life, Violent Death. He's like my brother, we grew up together and we played in projects together. But I got a funny story about him. Right. Back whenever we were in our old band, Stained Glass Romance, which Just Nice was in too.
Yes.
I think we were playing a show with Bloodlit at Ground Zero in Spartanburg.
Yeah.
And we were kind of in a rush. And so, I was working at a Jersey Mike's at the time. And me and Paul Verley, the other guitar player besides Justin, we went in there and we got all these subs at a discounted rate, And Scott and Just Nice roll up in the parking lot while we're walking out with all these subs. And so Scott's funny because he'll always try to, when he starts off into an interview, it's very, I'm Scott Cowan. How are you doing today? And it's like Troy McClure from The Simpsons and stuff. But then completely biscuits and gravy comes out later, And so we walk out into the parking lot and he's in the passenger side where, Justin's in the driver's side. And he rolls down the window and he looks out at us. We've got all this food in our hand. He goes, John, what the fuck, like that? And I said, what, dude? And he goes, I don't eat sandwiches, John. I don't eat that fucking shit. And it was so honky tonk the way he said it, and he's like, I'm going to Wendy's, man. And now I always dog him because he's got a young daughter. And I said, you can't just feed her pizza and cereal, Scott. You got to actually get her vegetables and milk and things so, but I love that guy. And, I just wanted to shout out Scott and Joe and, Just Nice and Violent Life, Violent Death. Those guys are, having known them since, teen years, they have come so far along and matured musically. And I remember when they showed me one of their EPs initially, I was like, this is the best stuff you guys have ever done collectively. And I'm so proud of them for like how consistent they've been, like
yes.
Not too many bands we've been in have like had multiple releases. So, I'm not in the band, but now I've got the opportunity. Was just talking to Justin about that, doing a video for them out here.
Right.
And for one of their songs. So looking forward to that. And, Justin, he's fantastic, man. He's uber zen.
Yes,
and
sir.
Just almost like probably a yogi in a previous life, and just a real good friend. And I was listening to that episode, and Scott was talking about how, Justin, you're driving with me, and
right.
that's how you feel about Justin, because it's like, if you want to call somebody just to talk and like, have real cerebral and heady conversations with, he's the man, dude. Like, and he's just at a maximum chill level. And I've always loved that about Justin. I've never really seen him get rowdy or uppity towards anyone, ever. Right.
One of the great human
He'll
beings.
probably disagree with me.
Nah, he is always, I can't think of one time he was always on calm and cool. And just like you said, man, I was always waiting for him to say something profound. He just always would hit me with something and I was just like, oh man, it made me think, man. I was just like, right. Justin. Yeah, wow, okay. And he would say it in such a calm way that it calmed me also. And it's just like, it's just that peace. I'm just
I don't know how you feel about zodiacs, but like, I'm a fire sign. So pretty much anybody that's not in that realm can like take me down like 2 or 3 notches, And so Justin, he's just got this remarkable ability to make everything placid.
Yes,
like the whole atmosphere just completely shifts when he's around. It's great.
Nice word to describe placid. He makes it just so calm. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Everyone's copacetic after that.
Well, we just wanted to give love to Justin and listen, you deserve that whole part right there, young man, because you are definitely that guy. Most definitely. So my first question that I like to ask everybody is, where are you from? Where were you born, young man?
I was born in a small little area of Florida called Plantation. I lived there. Yeah, it's a kind of a subsection of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
I don't know that it's necessarily a suburb. I didn't live there long enough to really experience it. Right. Terrible name, by the way. But then I moved around from Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. I lived in Orlando, and we moved all around, lived in Arkansas, Montana, and then eventually landed in North Carolina, on and off, and then LA.
Floridian, huh? Man, oh man.
I guess that probably explains the crazy a little bit.
Listen, I know a few people from Florida, man.
One of my buddies is like, dude, every time you hear about crazy people in the news, they're from Florida. He's like, every time. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like East Palatka, Florida, meth capital of the world. It's like any episode of Cops or anything, those body cam videos on YouTube that I'm so addicted to, like where they run up in the trailer park and, the people are just completely methed out of their minds. It's like, it makes you appreciate life, man. And you're like, man, I'm doing good.
No doubt. I always think that Charlemagne the God, he says that Florida and people from Detroit, and I think he said from the Bronx, are just crazy as can be. He's like, they're the craziest people in the world. I think I got that right. But anyway.
Right. Yeah. And then the little religious wing nuts from Florida too, and it's like, maybe they mean well, but I guess the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and so some of those guys come off as complete zealots and wing nuts,
So being from Florida, so did you spend, say, up until your teenage years, did you spend the most time in Florida?
No, I really went to probably about till age 7. And then, we landed in Little Rock for a year. And then I lived in Montana for 7 years, probably up until I was like a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And then we moved to North Carolina in 1997. I remember it real distinctly. It was whenever Ray Caruth from the Panthers.
Oh, wow.
What you remember that?
Yes, sir.
That happened the day we moved there. I remember because it was all over the news.
That was crazy.
And so, and and landed there for about 20 years, and then did served in the Marine Corps. And so traveled all around with that, and then had a monastic trajectory. Went all over the world with that, and now I'm doing a new band, and I'm going to be going all over the world with that. So, I mean, it's been an adventure, man.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can attest to that, like going outside other countries and experiencing that,
man, it's a beautiful thing. So North Carolina, you said you spent 20 years there. So what was the best thing about being in North Carolina?
I'm going to say I have a different appreciation for North Carolina.
Okay.
I had a conversation with somebody there from there the other day, and we were talking about Charlotte, and she was like, I love Charlotte. And I was like, not me, like, I guess it's kind of like an embarrassment of riches out here because like this place totally trounces Charlotte, but I mean, there are aspects to Charlotte that I like. Like you were talking about in one of your episodes, how like playing one of those really like intimate spaces, like Milestone or like, God, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the real packed venues. Pablo's. Did you ever play Pablo's?
Never played Pablo's. Why is it escaping me? My boy John Hayes, Tremont Music Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Tremont's
I used to work at Tremont, dude.
Really? Tremont's amazing place.
I was a bouncer at Tremont. Yeah. I'm sure you played the big stage, right?
I don't know. We played, what's the other place? Amos's. We played Amos's.
Yeah.
I played Amos with Stuck Mojo and with No Power, No Crown. So Amos's definitely, but those are the places that I've played. I played in Milestone also. But those were my spots that I played in Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Milestone. The Milestone's so like it's just like a time capsule, like you go in there and you see like Bad Brains and like Cro-Mags and Dead Kennedys and stuff, and it's this I think Nirvana played there at one point.
Oh man,
I believe so. Yeah, like back.
I can see that though. I can see that though. I love Nirvana.
Oh yeah,
they did.
Yeah, me too.
So good. So do you come from a big family or a small family?
I have one younger sister. She's married. She's fantastic. I never had any blood brothers per se. But like any of my friends are automatically my brothers. Gotcha. Because that's my way of kind of like dealing with that situation. I always wanted brothers, I always thought it would be cool. And I was always kind of envious of my friends that had brothers, because I was the prototype, like I was the first run, and it would have helped to have had some, kids in my life that could like, I didn't really learn to fight till much later in my life. And as a result, kind of got my ass kicked a lot when I was a kid, So it would have been nice. I hear all these great stories about brothers.
Right.
Some of my friends growing up that, they're like, oh man, I was getting in a fight all the time with my brother. And I'm like, man, I wish I had that. It's such a weird thing, but
my brother
get your chops in early.
Yeah, my brother used to whip my ass on a regular basis, and he's 2 years older than me, but I always had I have older sisters too. So my oldest sister, man, anytime he just like body slammed me real hard, like some definitely, some wrestling shit from back in the day. And he's like, I'm not fucking with you anymore. And then my sister would come and tear his ass up. And listen, but I didn't shy away from it, it's all love. But now we're older. I'm bigger than he is, I'm taller than he is. It's all love. But if I ever wanted to go get in a fight with anybody, I'd like to have him with me because he's no nonsense when it comes to stuff.
I mean, that's always the best friend to have,
So let me ask you this question. So in your younger years, you were into a religious music scene. Was that music scene in Charlotte? Was that the religious music scene you were in?
Well, it was in Statesville, the one.
So Justin and them were in there. So you were in there too.
Justin, Scott. Yeah. I was kind of a.
Yeah. What do you remember most about that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say that was my first exposure to punk rock, but it was definitely my most formative. and going up there, kind of like Justin was saying, like you've always got this impression that Christian music and Christian rock is lame, or that it's hymnal or something like that.
Right.
I remember my first exposure to Christian bands was Carmen and Audio Adrenaline and DC Talk, and like I was like, my mom's like, this is Christian rock. I'm like, this is Christian dumpster fire. Like, throw this shit in the trash, But then, my good friend Mike Johnson, I love that guy. He's my brother. He ended up going on a ministerial trajectory. He's going for his doctorate and stuff. Man, awesome. That guy, But we used to go up to the upper room. Nancy Sheets, she ran that. She was a really nice lady. But yeah, it was, I'm kind of like I don't know. I stand on the sidelines a lot, before I really kind of like make my presence known, and I kind of like, it's weird. And I do this every time I go into a situation. Like I've been doing this at my yoga studio. Like I kind of just sit and I observe. And, that was how it was with me. And I wasn't like tight with any of these guys at that point. We were all kind of like casual acquaintances, and we knew each other from bands and stuff,
Right.
It was great. I remember just going up there and seeing shows, and spirituality is still very important to me, and to be able to have that as a young man, that was, it was life-changing for me, it was like a paradigm shift. And there's such a huge spiritual component to a lot of these great artists that we love that, they never talk about. But, you look at a band like U2. Right. Those guys are like so like into Jesus and stuff like that, and yes. But that was never like what they were about per se.
That they put out there, right.
Right. So I guess, music has kind of worked in tandem with my spiritual trajectory, music has served as a big inspiration. Yeah. Bad Brains, those guys were big into, Rastafarianism. Pro-Mags, John Joseph, all those guys. They were Hare Krishnas, still are. I think that's a component you just can't deny, because it's so prevalent in all of it.
Yeah. That's love, man. And once again, like I told Charlie from Aftermath, man, I love when you roll right into things that I was going to ask you, and you really answered the question about how do you feel that time prepared you for your future endeavors, because you can still see that it's in you. And that's a great thing. And you stand on that foundation. And that's
doing
awesome,
good,
man. Yeah, it's awesome. So as a young man, what dreams did you have for a career? You've done so much. So what dreams do you have for a career that you remember?
Well, I've always kind of had a performance background. I was 7 probably when I did my first thing. And this is embarrassing, but I admit it because I got made fun of for it. One of my first productions ever. You can't use this as blackmail material against me anymore, folks. I did a ballet. I tried out for a ballet. Yes. Okay. Cast stones, make fun, but you know what? Man. That was my first foray into it. And my mom took me and, auditioned me for it. And I had no experience in any of it whatsoever. And I ended up getting the part over kids that had. And I was like,
wow,
they were fucking pissed. And I was like, well, they can have it. I was like, I don't really want to be in the forefront of the whole production anyway, And, I went to elementary school and my friends found out about it, and God, they fucking razzed the shit out of me. And yeah, it was fucking terrible. But you know what? I don't give a shit, like I don't care anymore. Like I'm not that age anymore. So I don't need to, fucking whatever, look at some of the greats, like Patrick Swayze, look at that motherfucker,
Of course.
Yeah. And so, I've always kind of been doing plays. I did a commercial when I was younger. My first film that I did, I was a background player in a Leonard Nimoy film called Holy Matrimony. Yeah.
Holy
and yeah, it was with Patricia Arquette, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, John Schuck from MASH and Star Trek. He was in there too. Courtney B. Vance.
This dude right here is dropping. Listen, I'm telling you, this dude's dropping names, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Go ahead,
I'm not trying, but I mean, to give you.
I want you to do that. Continue, please.
Okay. Well, I was more so giving a frame of reference, but it was like, yeah, I got to meet Patricia Arquette when I was 10. Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, no, they put out a call. This was when I was living in Montana.
Okay.
And my good friend Tim LaRue who was a Groundlings graduate. His dad was a production designer. He was an architect. Mm-hmm. But he designed all the schematics for the set and everything. And they put out an open call in the newspaper at the time, the Great Falls Tribune. Mm-hmm. And they said, if you want to be an extra in this movie, come and just show up. Right. It's not paid, which they capitalized on because you try to do that in LA or anywhere else. And people are like, nah, I'm union, fuck you. But, people in Montana are like, oh, we're going to be in a movie. Yeah. And I mean, I was excited as a 10-year-old and I was a huge, huge Star Trek fan. Yeah. And it was a real honor and pleasure to get it. And I did get to meet him originally. Yeah, exactly. Live long and prosper. He was at a restaurant in Great Falls and we were there and he just showed up, and he was there eating. And I was like, Mom, can I go talk to him? She said, no, he's eating breakfast. And I was like, no, I still want to talk to him. I was like, it's Mr. Spock,
Right.
And so I was like, we ended up getting into production and we were on set and, it was a scene at a state fair and we had to move around and John Schuck was chasing Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Patricia Arquette through the state fair. Right. And so we were just they call it, what do they call it? It's one of those derailed train moments at this time.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, people walk left and right. There's a film term to it and it's right on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. Crosses. Okay. Crossing. Anyway. So we were doing that or whatever. Yeah. And, we were kind of set up for it all day. We were there all day.
Right.
All day. And all the production staff was going around and saying, don't talk to Mr. Nimoy. Don't talk to Miss Arquette. I didn't get any interaction with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I tried to play Street Fighter 2 with him. They brought in this big arcade cabinet of Street Fighter 2, and he was there playing it. And I was like, can I play? And his handler was like, nah. Like that. And I was like, but I can whoop his ass. But I mean, shit, man, you get M. Bison in there, you do that. You're over, man. It's over. And all the production staff was like, don't talk to anyone. And Leonard Nimoy's there. And I'm like, I'm a 10-year-old kid. I don't give a fuck. Right. So he's in his director's chair. And I walked right up to him. Yeah. And I said, Mr. Nimoy, I said, it's a real honor to meet you. I said, will you sign this for me? It was just a piece of notebook paper or something. I was like, whatever, Yeah. He said, absolutely, absolutely. He was so friendly. He was so, outgoing. Yes. And then my dumbass takes a step back and says, live long and prosper. And he laughed and said, you too. And I was like, later come to find out that he wrote a book that says, I am not Spock. And he hated that because I think he got typecast as that. Yeah. And, yes. I'm a 10-year-old kid. I don't know better, and now I do. I'm like, that was dumb as shit,
But he laughed. But I'm going to say he laughed. So when he laughed at that, he took you as being that young man. It'd be different if it was a grown ass person. But he looked at that young man and said he doesn't even know. He's just giving the respect because that's something he probably probably didn't bother him at all, man, being that he laughed.
Well, let me tell you what, I actually got to meet Walter Koenig, who was Chekhov in Star Trek. That was about a month ago.
Really?
Now here I am here I am my age, right? And I'm like geeking the fuck out. I'm like, oh, it's shit, you know?
Right.
And I got to talk to him, and, you know, really, really nice guy. Just really, really humble. Very unassuming, like, you know, and just he would hang out with you, I'm sure, and just like chat with you. Like he was telling me about when he went to school, acting school with James Caan.
Wow.
I'm like, man, these stories are gold. I
Yes.
would love to get him on this show. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yes.
So that was really cool. But I was still a nervous wreck, you know. And I'm like, I never usually ask people to take pictures with him, but I was like, it's Chekhov, you know. I have to, you know. It's Walter Koenig. So I took a picture with him, you know, and he was a real nice guy. He was real cool about it, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, sir, no, great. And listen, love that. Great segment right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Man.
Please have conversation. So I want to do a timeline of life experiences, like what came first. Okay, so musician first, and then you went to I'm saying musician, you know.
Okay.
So you run the timeline. Tell me how it goes down.
Yeah. So you know, fetus, zygote, infant. No, you know, I had to. Originally, you know, I guess I kind of got started with the, you know, I don't want to say ballet was my first real foray into it, because I never really did anything with it after that. I mean, I guess if you want to be technical about it.
Hold on.
What? Are you talking about performance-wise or what?
No. I'm still laughing because you did what I would have done. You said I'm sorry, man. I picture everything, man. I'm crazy, man. I apologize. But no, I was just talking about.
Good night, everybody. Live long and prosper.
Yes. So I'm talking about like musicianship, and then you went, you know, from being a
I thought you were talking about performance background in general.
Well, we'll get there. So I'm just saying the timeline. So
okay.
I mean, if that came first, then yes, before the music.
I mean, like I said, it started as a child, you know, and I mean, I did school plays, so I mean, really acting first.
Okay.
I mean, because I did that more than anything, you know.
First.
Like, yeah, I did school plays, and then I went to, you know, I went to the military. I did that for a minute, and then I went back into acting at UNC Greensboro, and then I went to the Stella Adler Academy here in Hollywood, and you know, and music too. It's always been kind of omnipresent in my life. Like I played trumpet when I was in elementary school. I heard when you were talking about Bones as a trumpet player, you know, and I got real intrigued, you know, because like, and my friend Chubby Fresh, what's up, Chubby? His this is crazy because his grandfather, Itchy Pines, used to play for Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Really? Woo.
And I used to love Glenn Miller when I was a young kid and learning trumpet, you know? And so I was like, dude, that is so cool. Like, how is this that we, you know, we become friends and stuff, you know, like that. I was like, Glenn Miller was huge for me, you know? And I went into, you know, trumpet, and they asked me to be in like their jazz band, you know? And it was, the funny thing is, have you seen Whiplash? With it has Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons, where they're in the jazz group. They're jazz drummers.
I don't think so.
I highly recommend it, man.
Movie.
Yeah. And especially if you're a musician, you know, like I wouldn't say it was that bad. It paled in comparison, but like, you know, we used to have to wake up early, and the teacher would give us detention if we yawned, you know? I mean, he's not like throwing in the movie. J.K. Simmons is like fucking a madman, like throwing cymbals at people and shit like that, you know? So we got the mild version of it. And then, you know, eventually I didn't do trumpet anymore. And then I did, you know, my first stringed instrument was a bass. And I played that more so as a hobby than anything. And then I joined Stained Glass Romance for a while, where they were like, you want to be in the band? I was like, sure. And they're like, what do you play? And I was like, guitar, bass. And this was Scott and Justin and my friend Paul Verley and all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I play all those things and I can sing. And they said, well, we've got all these things. And they said, wait a second. What if you played the keyboard? And I was like, I don't know how to play the keyboard. They were like, neither do any of the keyboards that are currently playing hardcore right now. And I said, great. I said, perfect, you know? And so I did that for a stint, which they're re-releasing some of the EPs that we did with this label out of upstate New York.
Okay, that's what Scott was talking about.
I'm sorry, Long Island.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
And you know, good for them. It was a fun time. And then we did you know, I did a band called Death Blow.
All right, let's do this shit! Let's take these motherfuckers out! You hate my scene, my life, my music, my fucking way of life! Double up or shut the fuck up!
And then we put on our first album on Closed Casket Activities, and that band is blowing up. We actually had that album was produced by Tommy Church from End of All, and later he joined Mushroom Head, which shout out to Jeff Hatrix, who is coming on the show here in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was basically an unofficial member for a few shows, and then he went on to do great work. Great guy too. And great guitar player, Tommy Church. Did a project after that, Tyrannus, that was kind of really depressing. It was featuring some of the ex-Stained Glass members, which we actually played a show with them at Tremont,
right?
As this ex-members of Stained Glass Romance playing with Stained Glass Romance.
Got you.
And we got up there, and I will say this. We destroyed y'all. We fucking destroyed you guys. You guys had no chance. None. We were like the best elements of the band combined into one.
Wow.
And I remember Taddeo, who, Taddeo, man, I no intent behind your ex-wife. I'm just going to throw that out there since I've got the floor right now.
Taddeo.
There was nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing. You know Taddeo?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm just with you.
Yeah, he was such a good dude, and he was a sweetheart. And you can't like people's pictures on social media. Apparently, that just means you've got ill intentions. So, but Taddeo, I had none. But he says we're playing, and we were like midway through our set, whatever.
Yeah.
And he said, tell him what band you guys used to be in. And I just looked out at the crowd and smiled. And then we started into our next. I was like, okay, our next song is new.
Oh, awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well,
yeah. And then I did a band. I did a bit. Well, I'm currently in a band. I can't talk about it. Those of you who know. It's not in LA. It's in Cleveland. So, but there will be an official announcement sometime soon. That's the current trajectory as far as music's concerned. And it's been great, dude.
Now I've got to go ask Chris Aiken over the CMS Network, because he's in Cleveland, if he knows who this band is. Chris probably knows. Chris is the music guy. He probably knows. So now, okay, so you military. So you're in the military. Yeah. What prompted you to go in the military? Were you in like in ROTC in high school or something, or what prompted you to go into the Marines?
Okay, you're gonna laugh when I tell you that, but I'll kind of tell you my the genesis of my military career.
Yeah.
My dad as a child used to do this organization called Civil Air Patrol. Mm-hmm. And Civil Air Patrol was started in the 40s. It was a civilian auxiliary of the Air Force.
Okay.
They didn't call it the Air Force at the time, though. It was the Army Air Corps.
Gotcha.
Until it was, rebranded the Air Force in 47. Mm-hmm. But the Civil Air Patrol was basically tasked out to, they would fly civilian planes over and they would try to find German U-boats and stuff. And, their work led to the damaging of like, I want to say 40, I could be wrong on that. And they sank like 2 of them.
Wow.
So that was their earliest role. But my dad's exposure to it was through a cadet program.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go and fly like every weekend with this guy that was a pilot with the Civil Air Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, John, you should look into that, And I was like, yeah, I think I might want to do that. And it's a little bit like Boy Scouts meets ROTC,
Okay.
Just kind of the way it's set up. And they would, I got to do some awesome shit. I got to fly a lot in the Cessna 182. I got to fly in a glider. I got to fly in like helicopters, cargo planes and stuff like that. And we used to do, they did the disaster relief down in Florida whenever one of the hurricanes was down there. I think it was Andrew. I wasn't involved in that, but that's another one of their missions is, like putting up sandbags, getting people water and medical supplies and stuff. And so they did that. And eventually I went to North Carolina and they had Marine Corps ROTC there. Now, I was like kind of on the fence about doing that. I was like, oh, the Marines, aren't they kind of like dipshits, aren't they like cannon fodder, And, there's a lot of guys that end up joining the military because of a move, like Top Gun was a big one back in the day in the 80s because, everybody's like, I want to be a naval aviator. I want to be a fighter pilot, the Marines has many such movies like Full Metal Jacket.
Man.
One of my favorites. Boys, I've never seen Boys of Company C, but I heard Arlie Ermey's in it.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. That was
it's the same character, right?
Yes. My dad was in Vietnam. He did 3 tours. Yeah, my dad's military. And let me tell you something.
Thanks for your service.
Yeah, man. Yes, same for yours also. And let me tell you something, man. That doggone Boys and Company C, man, is one of the greatest. It's like that, the start to me of those military of real. I was just like, wow, man, listen, you'll enjoy it. You're a film buff. You will enjoy the Boys and Company C. You will definitely.
Answer me, goddammit! I want to be a Marine, sir. What the hell for? So I can fight for my country, sir. Fucking third! Right now, I can't stand to look at you. Sergeant, get this shit out of my fucking face.
I'm Sergeant Lois. I'm your drill instructor for the next 2 fucking months, maggots. Jesus, how in the hell do they expect me to train fucking Marines when they won't even send me human goddamn beings to
I'll see if it's streaming anywhere. Yeah. Is that the one with Bill Paxton in it, where Bill Paxton is like very young and he's like one of the cadets? And tell me what this movie is, because I have been wanting to watch it. It might be part of it. I don't know.
It's like the same thing, man, where they start off, man, and in basic training and everything, and they're training and my man, the
Arlie.
Listen. Amazing. It is just it's so good. It is really that good, man. It is really that good.
The first part of that movie is like a comedy of Full Metal Jacket,
Right.
So many people will laugh their asses off at it because he just gives this hell of a performance,
Yes, he does. Yes,
and rest in peace, dude. He was fantastic. Never got the chance to meet him, but people have asked me before, like, how accurate Full Metal Jacket is as far as Marine Corps is.
Right.
And, I didn't go through in Vietnam when the movie takes place, but it was pretty accurate. I would say it was extremely accurate. We didn't have as much interaction with our like senior drill instructor, who was like the Hartman character.
Right.
But that may have just been a unique situation. And they weren't allowed to hit people. Things happen, but it was much more prevalent. Yeah. It was much more prevalent in the Vietnam era, so I'd say pretty accurate. But the movie that led me eventually to join the military was Aliens by James Cameron.
Say that one more time. You broke up with this.
Aliens,
really?
Which has nothing to do with like the United States Marines, but they're still badass,
Right.
And I'm like, this is awesome. I want to do this, like I know we wouldn't be fighting big space bugs or anything, but I think it'd still be cool, and I watched that movie I think I've seen that movie more years than there are centuries.
Wow.
That doesn't even make sense, but I've watched it a shit ton. So
a lot. So what was your MOS?
Mm-hmm. I was what they called a 4066, which was a small computer system specialist. They don't have that MOS anymore. It's been reclassified, I think, as 0600, which is like I don't remember what they called it. And I think they may have even, like, during Obama era, they may have made that a civilian MOS.
Okay.
When I was lost in Europe as a monk, actually, I went to the embassy and I went to the embassy in Brussels thinking there was going to be Marines there, you know, like Semper Fi, here I'm in my orange pajamas, you know,
right.
And, you know, they would have been like, what a weirdo, but, oh, you're a Marine? I'd be like, bro, my passport got stolen on the train.
Yes.
But there were private security guards, and I was like, where's Marines? And they were like, oh yeah, Obama got rid of those like years ago. And I was like, oh, well, thanks for your service. Can you help me get my passport type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the train derailed. I was like, where were we?
So now I'm gonna ask you about your MOS. So you
So
you actually
computers.
It's computers. So you didn't see any combat or anything during your time?
No, nothing like that. And I'm really fortunate for that, because you know.
So why didn't you make it a career?
I was a bit of a troublemaker, I guess you could say. We were not a good fit per se, but, you know, I learned that all the greats in the performance field that were like actors and stuff like that didn't have quite a good go of it either. Like Steve McQueen got demoted like 6 fucking times, you know. So, you know, in that way, I'm cool with it. But yeah, and you know, there was a lot of like, you know, I fancy myself a little bit of a playboy right now, but you know, I wouldn't say I'd ever rule out marriage at this point. You know, it just have to be under extremely right conditions. But like, it's not a suitable environment to raise a family in at all.
So you
know,
like
there was. Yeah, and there was infidelity, like known infidelity, unknown infidelity, where I mean, I don't know if your dad would surely know the term Jody.
I'm sure he does.
You know what a Jody is? Okay, so the Jody is the guy that goes and fucks your wife while you're away. Either knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes they sanction it because they're going to be overseas and they're like, look, honey, I'm in Okinawa right now, and there's what they call Whisper Alley, where they, you know, all the prostitutes and stuff hang out. No lie. So they know that there's going to be some sanctioned fuckery. Right? Yeah, you know.
So
what do they call it? Polyamory or whatever?
When you say Jody, though, you know, there's a few. I know there's a blues song with Jody, and people talk about Jody doing. You know, they use it like Jody. You know, Jody sneaking around. Yeah, indeed. I got you. So I definitely know. That's hilarious to me. So
yeah.
Let's get into you becoming a monk. How did that happen? And just educate us on the origins of being a monk and why, you know, it spoke to you.
You know, I will say I placed a lot of merit in Christianity to kind of go back to the whole upper room Statesville, like Christian punk rock band stuff. I think it set me on the right trajectory, you know. But there were still a lot of questions that I had about God and the universe that I didn't feel like Christianity was answering for me, you know. And so I was searching for a while and, you know, didn't really find any edification in much of anything aside from, you know, heavy narcotics, you know. But Krishna Core, there was a whole movement back in the 90s and they called it, you know, Krishna Core. And, you know, a lot of bands spawned from that, like Shelter, 108, Run Devil Run. Foos. Shout out. And then I'd heard some of the bands, just from friends playing them. And this is a crazy story. I was in the airport back when the devotees could sell literature
Mm-hmm.
in the airport, or sell it, distribute it. And I was in the Marines at the time, actually. And I ended up getting a book called The Journey of Self-Discovery. And the guy that gave me the book, he comes in later in the story, but I was flying to Japan because I was stationed in Japan for about a year, and this was around whenever 9/11 was happening. And so I never read the book because it just seemed too rigid for me. Like, it was just all about rules, and it's really not. Krishna consciousness is more so, like if you're a musician, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you play guitar, you play drums. It's like nobody's asking anyone to subtract anything. Like you don't have to get rid of things.
Right.
Just add Krishna is basically what they're saying. And so, I guess I kind of had a lot of reservation with that. Eventually, I called up one of my friends because I was doing political activism. I was actually involved with Occupy Wall Street. And that wasn't giving me any edification, completely just, kind of godless movement that I was like, I wasn't connecting with.
Yes.
I hope that's okay to say, but that's kind of how I felt about it.
Speak your piece.
Yeah. Well, I'm not wanting to go off and seg off into that direction too much, but, so eventually, I kind of distanced myself from that. And, I called up my current godbrother, who, he played in Death Blow with me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the singer. And I was like, hey, man, can you take me to the temple? Are you still going? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I went up to a temple in Sandy Ridge, North Carolina.
Mm.
It's called Prabhupada Village. And, it's beautiful now. And I just kind of, it just kind of made sense for me, like it clicked is what they say. There's a lot of devotees that would experience this like shift, where have you ever experienced not being able to comprehend or understand something at the time, and then much later down the road, you're like, oh, like I get it. That's kind of how it was with me.
I got you.
Yes, and so I, eventually I went and served down in Gainesville, Florida. I served as what they call a brahmachari monk for 2 years, which it's strict. It's extremely strict. I did not keep up with that because I wanted to get married.
Right.
And that you can opt out of it. That's the great thing. It's not like Catholicism where, you're locked in for, years, and then you start doing deviant things, anyway. But there's the option. There's a whole progression of what they call varnashram system.
Uh-huh.
And basically what it is, natural orders within life. What you start out as in India, from age 5 to 25 is I'm going to adjust this mic a little bit. I feel like I'm not exerting good posture, but you start out as a, this is better. Okay. Technical difficulties. You start out as what they call a brahmachari.
Okay.
Right. Brahmachari. That is pretty consistent for like Indian males within between the ages of 5 to 25. Right. And they do what's called throwing on saffron. You wear the saffron robes, it's pretty traditional, With people in the West, they usually don't get involved in it until much, much later, just because it's not present within our culture, like, for many people to experience, as it is in some place like India.
Right.
Westerners usually do it much later. I did it when I was 30, then you have the option you can either stay brahmachari or you can go into what they call the grihasta ashram, which is it's married life, it's householder life.
Okay.
They you marry, you have kids, it's a traditional like family structure, and you work. It's pretty typical, and then you go and you do service in the temple, or hold preaching programs, or what they call prasadam distribution, which prasadam is sanctified food offered to Krishna. Then, if you really want to go serious with it, some people stay householders, they stay married, they stay having kids and stuff like that.
Right.
But they have the next ashram, which is called the vanaprasth. And what the vanaprasth is like retired life. You're making the transition into the realm of full-time preaching. You're distancing yourself from your family and your obligations, your material ties. And then the final order is what they call sannyas. And sannyas is you have separated yourself from like your family. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like a divorce. It's more like a spiritual separation. And the idea is to keep your family, you have to make sure your family is taken care of, like financially and stuff. Right. It would be irresponsible to just, kind of cast them aside and, not. Yeah. And so they make sure that the mom is taken care of, the kids and all that stuff. And then they go and they travel and preach, and they don't earn any wages. They're at the mercy of the temple. Some of them earn wages. I don't want to talk about that though. But they travel and preach. And
yes.
Like my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Marg Swami from Toronto, he has been brahmachari his entire life. And then he took the order of sannyas back in the 70s. And he was... he just stayed committed. I think he had some girlfriends when he was younger, but and the man's in his, what was he? It's terrible and I don't know, but, lifelong brahmachari, pretty much lifelong celibate. One of our founders in the order, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he was brahmachari, and then he took sannyas. He never had sex ever in his entire life.
Wow.
He was dedicated, man.
Wow.
And I did it for 2 years, probably one of the hardest things I ever did, pun intended, it was, what I'm saying? Like it was so taxing on my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't do it, man. I just don't have the mind for it. And, I was training to do yoga here. I don't have the mind to it. It's very like when you're in close quarters with some of the female devotees, things get flirty sometimes, and so it's really hard to kind of like for somebody like me, I was like, I can't, I'm tapping out, yeah, well, it was like some of the brahmacharis, you're not supposed to gamble. But you'll bet, right. I bet you I'm going to make it to sannyas.
Right.
When and then I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to get married. They all say that shit. And then they get married,
Human beings still. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of what they call the false ego. Mm-hmm. It's telling us that we're loftier and kind of bigger and more important than we are. And so, rather than adopt an attitude of humility, where, you're just serving to serve mm-hmm. God, it's posturing. You're peacocking. You're like, I'm
Right.
celibate. I'm a brahmachari.
Yeah.
That's almost like a signal to some of the ladies too. And I had a girl scream one time when she saw I was a brahmachari, because I guess she was into me or something. And I was like, nah, and so, but it was a great experience.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you the quick question before we move on. So
Sure.
when you get to, you said it's the sin. What was the last one you said it was? Or when you're moving away from your wife and your children?
Well, there was the vanaprastha. Once you're completely renounced, once you've fully taken renunciate vows, it's called sannyas.
Okay.
Or
so
sannyasis.
you said renounce your vows. So that means that you're making sure they're good. So that means that your wife can do whatever she wants to and whatever. I was just wondering, that's the Jodyism coming into the monkism. I'm just.
I don't know how that works, though I
Okay.
wouldn't put it past some folks,
Yeah.
They do some weird shit now. Like, there was like a guy married multiple wives and shit. That's unprecedented in ISKCON. Yeah. And a lot of people got mad about it. I just think it's kind of like, I don't have one, like you come over here, like, nah.
That's another religion. That's another M.
The one a little bit west of here. Yeah, I know the one. Or a little bit east of here, actually. I forgot what coast I'm on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, man. I was just wondering.
No, I mean, it's yeah, I don't really know how that works, to be truthful with you. I think it's
just curious.
Yeah. Some of the sannyasis are supposed to be celibate, but weren't.
Yeah.
They what they call blooped or whatever. Anyway.
Because they're human
Bloops.
once again. Yes, indeed.
It's true.
So I can see that those teachings were still important
It is
to you,
true.
though. And so how did an East Coast dude get to LA to do the things that you're doing now?
Well, that actually kind of ties into the whole, spiritual journey. When I was in India, I got asked to do a play, and it was like a spiritual play, and I played the villain. I get cast as the heel pretty often, which is fine. I feel like the real life heel sometimes.
Right.
They're like, we need somebody to be the antagonist in this whole scenario, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, but so I was doing this play or whatever, and Leonard Nimoy passed away when I was over there. And I was actually kind of struggling with the idea of returning to acting again, because I was like, is this going to be, within the realm of spiritual progression? And it just it wasn't. I thought at the time, and then he passed away, and I thought about when I did the movie, and I was like, man, that was a great experience.
Yes.
And I was like, maybe we could do that again, and so I had the opportunity to do a show called The Inspectors, which was on, I want to say, ABC. Anyway, I did that show, and it stars Jessica Lundy, who I had kind of a crush on because we had a VHS tape of Caddyshack 2, and she was in it. And she got to talk to me, really flirty, still good looking for her age. Wow. And
now Jessica Lundy, which
I
one
qualified.
Was that? I'm sorry, which one was that? Was that, I'm sorry for cutting you off. Was that the
Sure.
Was that the one with Chevy Chase, who, I mean, or was it the other one that was a part of? She was like the caddies.
It was the one with Jackie Mason. It was Jackie Mason. No, it's not the first one. It's they made a Caddyshack 2. I don't know if you know this.
Right. So you said Caddyshack 2.
So it's Jackie Mason 2. Yeah, she was the daughter of Jackie Mason.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And she was a real pleasure to me. Terry Serpico, he was on there, and yeah, I got 3 vouchers. I qualified for SAG. And one of my mom's friends was like, I was deliberating on whether I should go forward with it. And I need a drink. She was like, do it. Yeah, I'm sorry, my mouth's drying out.
No, you good. That's what we got him, indeed.
Yeah. So she said, John, do it. She said, go.
Right.
And at the time I was reading Napoleon Hill. Have you ever read Napoleon Hill? Think and Grow Rich?
No, I have not.
Fantastic read, let me tell you. Game changer. Complete game changer for me. Okay. It's all about kind of the power of positive thinking, you know?
Right.
And basically reinventing your own reality, you know? Using positive thinking to manifest things in your life positively. HR from the Bad Brains was super into that.
Okay.
And so, you know, I kind of use that as my Bible. I still do the exercise from it every day.
Right.
And, you know, it's all about goal setting and doing all that stuff. And I started doing the exercises probably in, I don't remember when. I think like 2 weeks into me doing the exercises, I landed on the inspectors. And then I did this show, Outcast, which is Robert Kirkman. Do you watch Walking Dead?
You know what? I'm not a Walking Dead person. I see it all the time. And I have so many of my friends and people, they love Walking Dead. They do. Yeah.
I think it kind of jumped the shark after a few seasons, but those first 4 seasons, I binge watched the shit out of. You know, I was like, that is so good. And then, you know, Kirkman, he did another project called Outcast. And it had Patrick Fugit and God, who was the other guy? Shit, I don't remember. And Brent Spiner from Star Trek was in it. He played the devil. And I had to play this demon-possessed man. And I got to work with one of the directors from Twin Peaks. Trisha Brock was her name. She did a few episodes of Twin Peaks and Knots Landing.
Okay.
And it was a real pleasure, man. I played a man who was like tied to a chair and like, you know, thrashing around like some fucking Evil Dead shit, you know?
Yeah.
And it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. And I got paid pretty well for it. And, you know, then I was just like, yeah, I think I want to take this show out west, you know?
Awesome, man. Look, man, listen, see, just your life is just so many different aspects. Just like I said in the intro, you've done so many different things, man. And that, you know, a lot of people are like, man, well, I was just over here. Or I just had one military career. I mean, you've been a monk, military, musician. I mean, that's a lot, man. There's a whole lot going on, man.
You know who one of my biggest inspirations is probably Indiana Jones. Because, like, you know, he was always going places and, like, he was in the military twice. Yes. And, you know, like he knew a bunch of different languages. I try to learn about different cultures. You know, that's always been kind of intriguing and fascinating to me.
Of course.
And he was a ladies' man. He was fucking smooth and suave, you know, and like I loved that about him. I was like, any guy growing up during that era wanted to be Harrison Ford because he was the fucking man. He was just able to be like he was able to be like, you know, telling off Carrie Fisher, like, bitch, I don't care if you're a princess, you know? And, you know, we as young men were like, yeah, you know, like, go into the back of the Millennium Falcon and make us a sandwich. That's right. You know, like, and so, he had this, you know, kind of real cavalier, just don't give a fuck attitude.
Right.
You know? And so I always kind of wanted to emulate that, you know, and just have adventures, you know, that was my whole goal in life. If it's crazy or out there, like, something that not many other people can experience, I'm like, let's do it. I'm all about it. Like I'm going to go to Antarctica someday. I think that'd be fun,
Oh man, this man's in Antarctica. Woo-wee. So, I love watching
TNF podcast in Antarctica, live and loud with the Lord in Antarctica. Fuck yeah. If I don't freeze my ass off like I'm in The Thing or some shit.
I love watching like Blue Planet and all those kind of things like that with David Attenborough. And man,
I've never really watched Blue Planet, but really? I hear it's fantastic.
Oh my goodness. They were down there in Antarctica. Oh my gosh, man. It's like when you think about animals actually living there, just the craziness of it, of how cold it is there, but how when we speak about religious things, well, let's say spiritual things, and
sure
that they're able to live there. And I can think about some of the people watching these shows. Like I always watched, what's my man that killed himself? Not trying to be morbid or anything.
Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain.
I've
watched every single one. It was one of my favorite shows to watch. I thought he was just
punk rock dude originally.
Yes,
did you know that?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I just felt he was just super incredible. I loved his show. And I can just remember it's either him or Andrew Zimmern. They were up in Alaska and they drank some of the seal oil or the the blubber that they had melted down from these animals. And when they drank it, and I don't drink, I'm not a drinker, but they said that when they drank it, it was so warm inside their bodies when they drank that. So it kind of lets you know the power of these animals that are living in these places and swimming in all these cold. They're not cold at all. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
No,
that's crazy.
Yeah, no. I actually had I had a cousin that went down there, I think with the Navy. They gave me I still have this, and I had a friend that was a flat earther. Holy shit. And he was telling me, he was like, dude, you can't get to Antarctica. And then I showed him this letter that was postmarked from a naval observatory station in Antarctica. And he was like, well, that could be fake or something. I'm like, dude, my cousin went there. Fuck you. And then I had a friend, Trivik Ram. He was in the band 108. He's still in band 108. He went down there and actually did Hare Krishna Kirtan. He brought his little deities down there. Yeah, he sent me the video of it. He brought the deities to, they were on a little boat and he was just out there playing Kirtan next to these like huge glaciers in Antarctica and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah.
That is, I guess, I know some flat earthers also. And we always just laugh and just having that conversation. So listen, my guy, Charlie from Aftermath, I'm going to have him on again and we're going to talk about all the conspiracy theories and everything. He was just like, listen, I want to talk about that. He's like, because there is so much stuff, so much. He said, woo.
Okay. Are you a conspiracy theory guy?
No, I'm not. I just pay attention. I
find it fascinating. I find it really fascinating. I think there's some merit to it. And even some of the flat earth stuff has really compelling,
of course,
arguments that have since been refuted multiple times. Yeah. So, but my friend was a flat earther and I'm like, let's have him on the show. I just want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
I try to have people of all walks of life on my show because
that's what we want to do.
It's interesting. I want to learn, Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because he's ready. He's ready for it. And I'm just like, Charlie, I'm ready for it too.
Okay.
So I got a lot of questions for
William Cooper, man. William Cooper, Behold the Pale Horse. That's one of my that's a pretty formative book for
me. I've never read that book, but I've heard so many people speak about how great it is. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. It's early like WikiLeaks shit, like it's all the bad shit about the government and their, covert operations. He was CIA and, he, for whatever reason, I guess, retired from the CIA. I don't remember the whole backstory, but like he was actively communicating in Behold the Pale Horse, like, look, my life is being threatened.
Wow.
And then like later he died under mysterious circumstances, like there's a shadow element of, the government and, they, as he says in The Shining, corrupted him.
Well, I will say this to you. I can remember, quick story. We were working out, getting ready to go overseas to tour. And that's when I was with Stuck Mojo. And we had finished working out, and then we went to a place to have a little bite to eat. And then the guys that are in the open season video, the two guys with the guns, they're actually, cops down in Atlanta. And so they're like on the a certain kind of secret, not secret service, but one of those higher.
They were legit.
Yeah, they were legit. Oh,
I was wondering. I was like, are they actors? Or are they real dudes?
No, those were 100% legit guys.
They had a good well, I mean, there's three positions. There's sling arms, there's alert, and there's ready. And when they were at like alert and ready, I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, they were both. Yeah, both of them 100% authentic, genuine guys. So when we were there,
that's awesome.
We were calling one of the guys to come have a bite to eat with us, and we were at this place, in Canton, Georgia. And so all of a sudden, he says, "Hey, I can't. We're stalking this guy. There's this guy who had been robbing banks that had been crossing the United States, and he came from like Arkansas, which we'll get to that in a sec. He was coming from Arkansas or whatever. And so what's wild is that it was right across from where we were, which was the craziest thing in the world. So the hotel or the motel where he and his girl, they were right across the street. So the next thing you know, we see all the cops coming. We see them all. And we're like, oh shit. So we see them come out and walk down, but they didn't know the cops and stuff were there. And so the dude kind of walks down or whatever, and we're kind of on the phone or whatever, like then we get off the phone and we just watch it all go down with them rushing in. It wasn't any big thing. I mean, he just went on ahead and gave up, but they were pinging his cell phone conversations, and that's how they found him.
Oh.
So I said all of that.
Wow.
Yeah. I said all of that to where my father, as I said, he was like, when he was in the military, he said, they would come around and check to make sure we weren't saying certain things in our sleep, because he said I did a certain kind of thing. Because before he became a pastor, a bishop, because that's where he is now, he would never talk about Vietnam or his military service. Never. He would never say anything about it. I'd ask him, and then I can remember just asking him one time, and he just sat there like it seemed like for miles going down the road, and I'm just like, did he?
Yeah.
Did he not hear me? And then he was just like, I'll never talk about that. And I was just like, wow. So after I called him, when I was telling him about that, the incident that happened, he said, let me go ahead and tell you something about your government. Put nothing past your government. Not one thing past your government. He said, I've done some things in the military. And he said, I'm just letting you know. And I just looked at him like, wow, man. Yeah. So it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, I got in trouble. It was at a time whenever, 9/11 was happening. And, if you did anything that was perceived as threatening within the media,
right.
it was not a good look for the military or the United States.
Yeah.
So I got in trouble for what they deemed some unpatriotic shit or whatever, which it was really just me and a few other guys. We were in uniform, just flipping the bird.
Wow.
And they found it, and it was on social media.
Wow.
And we got what they call non-judicial punishment. But we won. We actually won. Because we were actually well liked by a lot of the people there, which was fortunate. So
this was fortunate indeed. Could have went left. Glad.
Oh, man, I remember I walked out of there. I hadn't had a cigarette in forever, and man, I don't even think I like Marlboro Reds, but somebody gave me a Marlboro Red, and that was the best damn cigarette I ever smoked in my life. God. And I remember the sergeant that was trying to nail my ass to the wall walked out onto the plank while I'm smoking.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be smoking in my dress alphas either, which is like one of your uniforms. And I'm out there smoking, and he walks up and he goes, "So you got out of it?" And I said, "Yep." And he had this like almost personal vendetta after me after that, because he I mean, he was a good guy, I actually kind of liked him when he wasn't in Marine Corps mode, He was like an older brother to me. He would get drunk and like shoot a fucking BB gun from the barracks at like some of the Marines that would come and train at our base that weren't part of our base, and he was funny as shit. He was a funny guy, but I think he felt a little bad that I didn't get any sort of demotion or docking of my pay.
Right.
He was demoted for a DUI, and so I think maybe he thought I should have got my punishment, but I didn't.
Just worry about yourself, bro. Worry about yourself, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Another great segment, man. Thank you so much, man. It's love.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, thank you.
So actor, screenplay, film buff. You sent me the trending. So what is it about acting that just has you right now? What is this just so, has you just loving it so much?
Be truthful. I have always felt more of a connection with directors than actors per se. It's the cliche thing in Hollywood to be like, I'm an actor, but I'm actually thinking about directing, and it's like, but I've always had that interest. And like, even when I was acting, I was more interested in the lives and the techniques of the filmmakers. Like, Stanley Kubrick and, Kurosawa and, Birdman, all those ones, all the greats and stuff. And, I've always wanted to emulate that. And, I'm fortunate that Violent Life is letting me do a video, with them because, I was talking to Justin about it. I was like, what if we did some like weird, like art house obscure shit, and he was like, yeah, man, like he's into that shit. So, he and I always have like great. Well, I mean, they're movies of French people smoking cigarettes a lot of the time, so, but I love them because they're stylish and, they're generally well written. I'm just talking trash, but, so yeah, I mean, and film's always kind of been omnipresent in my life. Like my, my dad was always showing me cool shit growing up. My mom actually made a indie like short film whenever she was in high school and stuff, and that was really cool. And she turned me on to like early foreign cinema, Red Balloon, the French short film. And I got a lot of cultural experience through her, and I just love films, man. Acting, directing. I've gotten a little bit in on the production side of things before. I filled the producer role a few times. Cinematography. Sound. I try to look at all the elements. Because it's an ensemble.
Yeah.
You've got all these like great people that are
definitely
fantastic in their trade, and you can do it with a skeleton crew, but if you've got really talented, great players, you can do great things, so I think that was the biggest, I think that's the biggest strength to a film is when you have all these great collaborators, what comes out of that.
Right. And you're deeply immersed in it, man.
I love it, man. I've almost pissed people off sometimes for how long I can talk about film, like it's almost exhausting.
Nah, man, it's just like you got me wanting to come out to LA, man. I'm just like, goodness, man.
You're always invited, man. Yeah. I mean, like I love LA. I think it really kind of inspires some people to try harder, and it's definitely made me step up my game significantly, so.
Just like I said, man, like with Fran Strine, man, you probably, I mean, he's there also. I mean, is he in San Diego? But he's close. But Fran is in there, doing all that stuff too. As I told you, the documentary.
Who's Fran?
Hired Gun. Remember we spoke about Hired Gun.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So I still need to watch that.
Yeah. So he's there also, man. But listen.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So the band Death Blow. Now that was your former band. I think it's super. You sent it to me. I listened. Super dope. Listen, man. I enjoy it, and I always enjoy the breakdowns when that.
Thanks, dude.
That's man. It just grabs me, man. It's just like I love that tension and release of things, man. And so the Hugh Hefner of hardcore. So are you are you like the vocalist in this band? Is that you?
No, and that really has nothing to do with the band. No, they always kind of razz me about it. I'm like, you guys say this like it's a bad thing, you know?
Right. Okay. So now I get you.
What are you talking about?
Got you now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I'm not, but I was like that in some of my other bands, definitely. So, and you know, a lot of the North Carolina scenesters are kind of like looking at me with scorn and contempt, like that motherfucker, you know, like Rasa Franca, like whenever they talk on Looney Tunes and shit, they're pissed about it. So, you know.
Yeah. Hey man, live your
Whatever.
life, man. I'm just saying, man. Listen, I'm not worried about what everybody else is doing, man. I gotta take care of me, you know. And that's
and I mean,
thing.
yeah, I you know, collaborated with a few adult stars, no doubt.
So you know, I said a thing about you being a porn star, but that's love.
So I'm not really. Let me clear the air here.
Clarification.
I'm not a porn star. Not a porn star. I always thought about that trajectory. Though, guess what? Well, yo. This segues into a great question. Great question. Great story.
Right.
My dad used to do construction in South Florida.
Uh-huh.
John Holmes ended up working for him. He told me this story recently. Yeah, John Holmes, or as they called him, Johnny Wad, used to work for my dad. Yeah,
didn't need a hammer. Didn't need a hammer. I'm crazy, man. Forgive me.
Bravo. Very good. Shit. No. You literally killed me with that one. That's funny that you should mention that because, you know, one of his work buddies was like, hey man, why don't you take it out and show us like that? And like, he's like, come on, you know, not as like a fucking, you know,
like
trying to fucking.
Yeah, for the movie.
Well, they just wanted they wanted confirmation. Like, they're like, are you really? You know, like, you know, but I guess he never did. And he didn't last very long either. I was like, how was he? And he's like, whatever, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because I guess he was going through a real bad period after that. Was that before or after the Wonderland stuff?
That's what I don't know. I'm just thinking about the movie.
Early 80s. I would have been a kid. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. But I mean, that's another thing that's always kind of been omnipresent in my life too. You know, like, I mean, I don't know if my parents know this, but like, you know, back in the day when there was like 900 numbers and stuff, like I'd see that shit on TV and like, whoa, you know, like, what is this? You know, and I'd be sitting there calling the 900 numbers and, you know, like, fuck, man, you know, watching scrambled Cinemax and shit.
They knew, man. Oh, so now come on, man. You had a box, didn't you? A descrambler? Come on, man.
Oh, I didn't know. I used to go over to my friends' houses. I used to go over to my friends' houses when we were a kid. And if you watched at a certain time at night, there would be very little interference from the static. Yeah. So you could see almost everything. You could see almost everything with like pretty clear quality or whatever.
Of course,
you know? Like,
man.
Here's these young kids just kind of like immersed in this, and you know, you know. It is what it is.
It wasn't just you. Grown men did that too. And let me say this. So it used to be Wild On with and what's her name? Oh my goodness! Before you change, listen. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let me not get in trouble. So Wild On used to come on. I'm trying to think of her name, but anyway, Wild On came on, and then it would be
might have been before my.
Then it would be Playboy, and then Spice. And let me tell you something. Sometimes they would forget to click it over to scramble it.
I remember Spice.
Yeah. And then before they would scramble it, man, you just like, yo, this is crazy. And then when you got the scrambler, it was awesome.
I love my dirty girls, man. I love them, you know, and to me, for somebody who was a nerd and just awkward in high school and just fucking, well, I don't want to say it's complete. I had a lot of kind of friends, but I mean, you know, I was a fucking nerd and geek, and you know, I remember this kid used to shove me when I was like in elementary school, and I never fought him back, because I didn't know why he was shoving me, and I really? I didn't have balls then, so I just let him shove me, and I just laughed every time he shoved me. You know,
that made it worse for him.
Yeah, you know, I just started laughing, and I was like, he did it about 30 fucking times. I think I was fucking the last one. I was like, okay, man, quit. You know, like fucking, we're done. You know, but you know, it's like vindication for the wimpy kid. You know, he views my Facebook story and he sees all this, you know, and so I'm like,
he respects you, man.
You know, like,
indeed, you respect.
Yeah, my, you know, I have some friends that are like, you know, they're cool about it and stuff, and I use it as a marketing tool too.
Of course,
you know? Like my dad was like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
My dad was like, you spent a bunch of money on whores, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I knew. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, like, but it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, well, these girls are beautiful and stuff, and like, I love beautiful women. How do we, you know, dovetail this into like a working relationship?
This guy, right?
I mean, working like you know what I mean. In addition to that kind of work,
right?
You know, like advertising and stuff like that. Like, business, you know, I had a
business.
Yeah, I mean, I had a girl recently that, you know, she shot a. Well, I mean, I was like, hey, I know you're about to leave. Can I take some pictures of you? You know, and she said, yeah. And so I gave her a shirt, and you know, she's in Playboy now, which is insane.
Wow.
You know, yeah, and kudos to her. But you know, I was considering an OnlyFans trajectory at one point, but you know, I think we still live in this day and age when there's still a stigma to it. There's still a stigma to it, because you look at all these girls that are doing OnlyFans now, and you know, it's more, I guess, socially acceptable now, but like, a thought's gonna be a thought, man. Like,
of course,
you kind of bear that scarlet letter for the rest of your life, you know. I dated a girl that was a dominatrix, actually, and you know, she did some porn and stuff too, but you know, she couldn't get work. You know, she had no work history,
right,
on paper, you know. So it was like, what's she gonna do, you know? And so, and that's one thing, I guess, if you wanted to kind of talk about, like, you know, some sort of social issue, I'm pro sex work. I'm pro sex, you know, positivity and stuff like that. I think that if we restrict things like that, you know, that's where bad shit arises, you know.
Okay.
And well, you know, I worked as a bouncer at some of the clubs here in Hollywood, some, you know, regular clubs and strip clubs and stuff, you know, and the sex trafficking is huge. It's huge, you know. And so I don't think people realize how big of a problem it is. We used to have guys that would come up there and be like, hey, man, what's going on? I got some girls for you. And we're like, no, you don't. And you better just leave, you know.
Right.
But, and then there were girls that got in that, you know, did have handlers, pimps, you know.
Wow.
So to me, I would rather it be legal and sanctioned.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, take the criminal element out of it, you know. Make money at it, capitalize at it, you know.
Like weed, man.
My thoughts.
Yeah, no, because I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So it goes right into, I was like, is the porn industry still a thriving industry in California? And who was your favorite star to film with? That was a joke, but who was but is it still thriving? Is it still thriving?
Well, in the regards that it's kind of gone, underground, you know, like OnlyFans has made it so that, do you remember the Ice Bay? Do you remember her?
Say her name one more time.
She was the ICE agent, Ice Bay.
I don't remember Ice.
She was an ICE agent that was like this really hot Latino woman. And like, I want to say either she lost her job as a result of, you know, a lot of people were mad that she was, you know, on the border and stuff like that. And she was, you know, Latin American or whatever. And I think she quit her job and did OnlyFans and like clears like,
I think I know who you're talking about.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Yeah. I can't think of her name, but yeah. So, I mean, in that way, and it's also kind of like, I think it's kind of empowering to women in the regard that, they take control of their own career, and they make probably more money at it. They're not paying a cut to a production company or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. As far as mainstream shit, it's fucking dead. It's not. Well, I don't want to say it's dead, but I mean, like all those free sites and stuff just crushed it. Yeah. I mean, and the rise of OnlyFans too during the pandemic, because a lot of girls couldn't go out and make money.
Yeah.
Can you blame them? Can you blame them for doing that?
Yeah.
It was a good way to sustain themselves through the pandemic. Say what you will about the whatever, but it sustained them. Favorite to work with.
Who's your favorite? Let me say this.
Favorite. There's only been like a handful, and I mean, I dated some girls that weren't performing at the time. Who said that? Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, oh god, I would say her name, but I don't want to give her too much credit because she kind of burned me a little bit. But no, I won't say her name. But I'm still a fan, but it's just like things are a little different now. Connie Perignon. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's like working with Playboy now. Yeah, Connie, what's up?
Connie, say her name again.
Connie Perignon.
Connie Perignon.
She's blowing up, man. She's. I mean, back to the Whisper Alley thing. I hadn't had any sort of interest in any Asian girls until I saw her again. I was like, holy shit, and I was like, God,
oh man,
I gotta hit her up.
You talking about like Lily Ties? See, these are probably older because you're younger. Lily Ties.
Oh no, I know who she is, bro. I got fucking almost 40 years in the game. No, she's done. She. Asa Akira does a podcast actually, and she's been on her podcast. I can shoot you the. In fact, yeah. I mean, I know she does the podcast circuit. I don't. She hasn't done mine yet, but maybe. But yeah,
they gotta go ahead and get on the T and Fuckery and live with the Lord, man. We got listen. We keeping it real, man. It's all about growing and having great content.
We are.
Yes, man. That's what it's about, man. That's the thing. Hey, I'm with having whoever wants to come on and has good content and we can laugh and just like I said, man. I just want to have good conversation. And just like this right now, man, I've enjoyed this so much, man. It's just amazing to me, man. Just to laugh and
yeah, dude. Free, likewise. No, I love this. Is almost like a Justin conversation,
Yeah.
This is like a Justin. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yes, indeed.
No, she's fantastic. One thing that really gets me about her, and this is a huge probably turn on for me, is the whole Valley girl accent, the whole California girl accent, the like. Yeah, what's up? Like they sound like they're on 3 Quaaludes or something, Yeah. Oh, I love that shit. And she's got that so much, where it's just like, God. Oh.
Hey man, make me think about Clueless. I love Clueless.
We're gonna have to take a cold. I'm gonna have to take a cold shower. Hey, Clueless?
No, I'm just saying when you talk about Valley Girl and all the stuff like that, I'm just thinking about Clueless and the.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Kardashians talk.
I've actually never seen it.
What?
Oh, man. Dude, Kim K. Yeah, I've never seen Clueless.
But see,
and I remember somebody asked me that one time. I was like, look at me, like, come on. But excuse me, I hear it is actually pretty good. It has.
Is a very.
It's based on Shakespeare, isn't it? Taming of the Shrew. No. That's 10 things. That's 10 things I hate about you. Is the Taming of the Shrew one? No, Clueless is based on.
I'm not sure what it's based on, but I know that Alicia Silverstone and Stacey Dash in there, man. It was just so good, man. Oh man.
God.
I'm tripping, man.
She goes. I see her sometimes out and about, Alicia.
Yeah. Look at the life this.
I mean,
young man is
I
living.
say that like I say that like I know her, but like no, she's big vegan. She's
Really?
always been. Yeah. And yeah, I see her out and about, like, that happens sometimes,
Yeah. Well,
She did this really great movie.
Mhm.
No, I was going to say she did this really great movie called The Lodge with Riley Keough,
Mhm.
who is Elvis's or Priscilla Presley's granddaughter. I can't.
Okay.
She's related to one of the two, if not
Gotcha.
both the two.
Okay.
Really good slow burn horror movie.
Mhm.
Alicia Silverstone's in it.
Yeah.
Very good. Clueless, man. Yeah, I love the Valley accent because they just sound like they're down all the time.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, yeah, what's up? Like anything goes,
Clueless is it's definitely a good movie. It really is. It really is. So wait, now listen, baby, I was going to ask you something today. You made me forget when we went into that, but it's all love though.
Stacey Dash, dude. Oh, she's beautiful.
Hey, in that Kanye West video, All Falls Down. Ooh-wee, boy.
Which one?
Kanye West video has a video called All Falls Down, and she's in it. And
Is she in it?
Oh man. Anyway,
I need to check this out. I heard you talking about hip hop too with what I want to ask you this question.
Uh-huh.
New hip hop. What do you think about it?
As I tell people, I love all music, but to be honest with you, I haven't listened to a whole lot of that because I'm doing my thing. I'm working on my, plastic catastrophe with Lord Nelson stuff. So, other than when my kids will come or some of my friends are like, hey, did you hear this? Or did you hear this? Most of the time it's no. Am I going to disrespect them? No. But I just don't listen to it. And I'm sure that a lot of it's good because when you go out there and look on YouTube, these guys without labels and with whatever, they have 50 million, 100 million views or whatever like that. So that it's working for them however it's working. So music is music, man. It's just it's their time. And I just let it be what it is, am I going to down it?
You were talking about Gucci Mane though.
Oh yeah. What I was talking about, listen. So even my son, when I was taking him up to school, he played ball in college, but I was taking him up to school in North Carolina for a workout. And so he was like, hey, Dad. And I was just like, this is my time to listen to music. I was like, play whatever you want, man. I was like, we're in your car too. I was like, play whatever you want. So he played Gucci Mane and he played Waka. And that's when I really, of course I heard of Gucci, but now I'm just like, man, and I'm listening to the music and I'm just like, okay. And so he was trying to like go from this song to this. I was like, no. Just let it play. Just let all of it play. I want to hear from the beginning of the album to the end of the album. So, man, I just love music, man. And if it's hot, it's hot. That's how I am,
I love Gucci's beats.
Oh, man.
Young Dolph, he's not with us anymore. He was shot.
Yes.
And that whole album is about a concept album about him getting shot or his car getting shot by Yo Gotti's crew.
Right.
Awesome. That album fucking slaps.
But
But
let me say this though, and people probably hate me for this because listen, I don't disrespect any artist. There's a few of them that I was never like the biggest Young Dolph fan. I just thought he just talked his way through it. Now, did he have the dope beats and hitting? Of course, but it was just like me being a writer. A lot of times, when I hear, just sometimes I'm just like, oh man. But I know that my kids and a lot of people love Dolph. I didn't hate him. I just was just like, so I always thought that man, he's with Yo Gotti, man. What's his name? Oh my goodness.
Not UGK, is it?
No,
he's
UGK. No, they're from Texas. No,
why did I think they're from Atlanta.
Yeah, no, UGK is from Texas.
That's right. Yeah, South.
What is the guy's name? I see him.
What's it start with?
God dog it, man. I just see him and he dates one of the chicks that she's like a big social media model chick too. And God dog, what's his name? Well, anyway, I think that he and Dolph are alike, but he raps better than Dolph. And he
raps better than Dolph.
Yeah. No, what'd you say? You
think Gotti raps better than Dolph or Dolph raps better than Gotti?
I think Gotti raps way better than Dolph. Moneybag Yo.
I strongly disagree with you, sir.
No, sir, man, you're a wild dude. Moneybag Yo is who I'm talking about. Dolph.
Oh yeah, Moneybag Yo.
Moneybag Yo. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. People get mad with me if they
okay, like, yeah.
See, you're younger than me, so
let's go.
That might be your vibe. I don't think Dolph was a good rapper. I just think he just talked. Okay. He just talked. You know, I mean, when I say a good rapper, I mean a good rapper, man. Some of the stuff they say, I was just like, oh man, why would he say?
And that's the reason I asked you is because you know I feel coming up in this era, working at the strip clubs. Yo Gotti was one of those ones there. It's like strip club anthem, and so
100%.
I heard them all, and some of them I weren't impressed by, like Migos. I didn't like really any of their shit until I heard their solo stuff. Quavo,
really,
that shit is awesome. Yeah, and then I heard some Migos shit later that I actually liked.
Migos has some stuff, man, no doubt. But you said it, Migos is because my brother is a DJ, and I think I mentioned to you when we had our conversation before. And he has his own internet radio station, but my brother played in the clubs and he played in the strip clubs. And let me tell you something, man, he would always tell me, he's like, yo, you got to listen to this. Or he'd keep me up on certain stuff. He was like, oh no, this is what's hot in the club. And even my son and, the friends or whatever, like, he was like, no, Dad, up in the strip club, this is what's popping. So I understand that because that music I always say that the music gets you. And the lyrics keep you. And once again, I'm not hating on Young Dolph. There's a few other people I could say that people would be like, man, that's blasphemous or whatever like that. So I just don't even say anything about it. But
sure.
They might just bore me, I mean,
what do you think about Kendrick?
Oh, I like Kendrick.
The reason I like Young Dolph so much is because he's such a stark contrast to like, Tide Pods, AirPods, fucking Peapods, like the guys that just do those. And they do the triplet, they love that shit. And I'm like, that's a metal thing,
Right.
But I couldn't get into it. But like Kendrick, man, Kendrick tells stories,
tells stories, yes.
And like Money Trees, like, man, I have driven up the California coast smoking weed, listening to Money Trees, and that little moments like that.
Yeah.
That's what you appreciate in life. You can think about those times when you're just driving up, the Pacific Coast Highway and, the sun's shining and, you're just listening to your favorite tunes, it's like ethereal,
And listen, I feel you. I still do it now where I just get in my vehicle and I'm by myself and I just listen to music and it's just loud with me. And music is a time machine. Yeah. Music is something beyond really explanation because it just does so much to me. And I just enjoy it like that. So, and once again, as Young Dolph he's had some really, really good songs.
Sure.
But there was probably somebody else on it that rap better than him.
Perhaps. No, I know. I didn't like Future for a long time either, and I really got into Future.
Oh my goodness!
I whoever does his beats, they're like spacey and like dreamy sometimes. I'm like, I like this. That's like take your girlfriend out. Rap.
There's so many guys. There's a few guys that are actually from South Carolina that are down in that make some of those beats that those guys have been using because they just got a sound, that Atlanta sound. And then Mustard, of course, out in California, he had it for a while. I mean, I love to hear that bass. I love to hear that bottom. There's no doubt. I love all that, man. But I just love all kinds of music. And just like I'm saying, man, once again, with Death Blow, when I listened to it, I was just like, man, this is incredible. This is really, really, really good, man.
You know what we were listening to a lot of at the time?
What's that?
Crime Mob from Atlanta.
Really? Yes.
That first Crime Mob album.
Yeah.
Dude, we used to roll up to the shows and it starts with that little church bell, in the background. It's like down, down, down. And then like the keyboard comes in like and then like we would always roll up to the venues and be like, fuck that shit that you talking, that was the fucking shit, dude. That album was so fucking good. And it like killed speaker systems, killed them.
That
so
Nuck If You Buck, if you still play that right now.
Nuck If You Buck, yeah, dude.
Where you are, if you play that, it's going to get crazy, man. Yo,
man, World Star uses that shit all the time.
Yes, sir. Man.
Be like, Nuck If You Buck, crap, World Star. Yeah.
Oh man, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we can't help it. We love music like that. That's what it is. So,
I mean,
we're getting close to this, man, and I really thank you.
Sure.
Man. This has been just
I thank you, sir,
man. So, the TNF podcast. How did this amazing podcast come to be?
So I was, during the pandemic and stuff, I was kind of doing a lot of soul searching and asking a lot of questions, and my buddy Paul Verley from Stained Glass Romance, actually, he said, you should do a channel.
Right.
And I said, okay, and it started small, man. And that's the craziest thing to see, what it's become at this point, because, I'm proud of myself. I haven't done many things consistently, and that's, a lot of people criticize me. They say, you don't stay with one thing for very long. And it's like, well, I always had a purpose for that, I just wanted to experience, like I was saying, the whole Indiana Jones thing. I just wanted to go and do one thing for a little period of time and then move on to something else, because I wanted, to experience life and culture and what have you.
Right.
I'd always, like, Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was like a personal hero of mine growing up, from a performance background. And he was funny, and he was just, Definitely. And I took a lot of inspiration from like early comedians like Carlin and Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock. And I was like, I just want to do a show, and I just want to rattle my garbage off to the world, and, it originally started as kind of like a news reaction podcast or whatever. And, I'd say that I have a right kind of libertarian stance, but, I wanted to make it apolitical. It was always meant to be that since the beginning. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I would just bring, stuff up because it was in the collective ethos or whatever.
Right.
And I, started having musicians on there, friends. Mm-hmm. Israel from Bad Brains came on. John Joseph from Crow Mags. He really put my channel on the map, man, because Blabbermouth picked that up, and I had a huge subscriber increase after that. So special thanks to John Joseph for that. And I just wanted to have possession of my own kind of creative outlets or whatever. I mean, in Hollywood, it's hard to get work unless you're connected,
Right.
And I just recently joined the union, so I'm. It's kind of been on the back burner, truthfully, but the podcast is works in tandem with Hell's Heart Merch Co. It's very irreverent. It's stupid. It's don't watch it. No, it's just it's me being ridiculous, and I like to have people on there and just really learn, like their lives. Like that's the most fascinating shit to me, is when you get these really just rich stories, from people. My dad's got so many good stories. I want to have my dad on the show, who's been very, very, very supportive of me, both my parents.
I can tell. We didn't get to talk about it, but I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to come back to LA because I went back to North Carolina for a little while. Because of the accessibility to people that can come on the show,
right? And
I've been wanting to do the podcast circuit myself. I know there's a lot of creators out here in LA, so and that helps everyone grow. I think collaboration, like let's all come together and pool our resources. I follow a lot of them out there that I would love to be a guest on. And so, it's just, and it's kind of a time capsule in that, like, I can kind of see where I was at that time in my life, and it's, I don't want to say it's very personal to me, because like I said, I'm kind of a fuck off on the channel. If you watch any of the videos, like I try not to take too much seriously. Like the dominatrix ex-girlfriend, she was like, I can't take you seriously. I was like, why would you? Like, I don't even take my fucking self seriously. That's kind of the vibe, and niche, kind of edgy music, hardcore, whatever theme, geek, nerd shit. If you like any of that, and you want to just come on and chop it up, or your episode was great, man. I was so impressed by like how fluid like the conversation was and stuff, because it that's what I love. I love just in trying to enrich my life with friends and other people's experiences.
Yes. And I feel that's what has happened here, man. And I know I know you have a great podcast, man. And I just think that who you are, you're being your authentic self, and you're doing what you're doing, and it resonates, man. So it's a cool thing, man. And I know you'll continue to be successful. There's no doubt about it. And so
thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So now I just got to figure out how to get, So, hold on. I know what I wanted to ask you, because you talk about the Hell's Heart merch, your merch. So the young ladies that you had in there that were in the t-shirts in the promo vid, which So those were some of the young ladies that, or were they just models?
I plead the fifth on that one.
Okay.
But, sure. Yeah, they were. I mean, might as well, I mean, some of them. And see, I want to specify that it was not all.
Right.
But I can't really get into the specifics for reasons.
I'm just trying to look at, you said the dominatrix. I'm seeing it, I don't know how good your relationship is with her. I'm trying to see if I can get her on here to see if she would just come on there and just beat some people or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Her
name is if you want to get her name is Soma Snake Oil. She runs an organization out here.
Really?
That's her name. Yeah. She runs an organization out here called the Sidewalk Project. And they do like resources for homelessness and, well, I know they don't call them homeless. They call them unhoused or whatever, but people that are struggling on the streets. And she's just really she's a really sincere and like genuine person. I think she'd be a great guest. Actually, I'm sure she's got some stories.
That's what's cool though. Also that I respect, because you can come from different walks of life, but nobody knows your story. Because everybody has a story. And everybody's story is not just one of evilness or craziness. There's other sides to things that go on. So those are the things that, when, just like I said, you have so many facets of you, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that you've done.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing to me. It really is.
Well, thanks, man. I just, I want to just keep the adventure going, and just, I'll go skydive.
Hey,
I didn't want to skydive years ago because I'm like, you are falling towards the ground. There is a 50% chance. Well, not 50%, but there's a high likelihood you could die. Like if that well, no, it is 50%, wouldn't it be? Because cord succeeds or fails.
Listen, hey, I don't know. All I know is that my boy that shot my Until I Die video with Lord Nelson featuring Lies, Vincent Giorgetti, I call him Van Gogh. He goes paragliding and he jumps out of planes and on his page he's just paragliding all the time. He moves so he can do that.
Wow.
And I just look at it and I've told him it's amazing. He didn't even know how amazing I say that is to me, because I'm just like, wow, because he's just up there free as a bird. It's like a bird.
Oh, you didn't do it?
No. He's in France. And he's just like, he moved to a place to where he could just do it.
Okay.
And he was just telling me how he got into it. And it's just amazing because he's just up there looking at all this beautiful countryside and enjoying himself, man.
Oh, I'm sure.
And actually, his ex
girlfriend, ultralights.
Well, no, it's not an ultralight. It's just that thin piece.
But I mean, ultralight would be cool.
Yeah, ultralight. I don't know about that. Listen. I don't know if I'm gonna try those things. I'm not that adventurous yet. But his ex-girlfriend actually lives out in LA also, Lily. And man, just
okay,
amazing. Well, anyway, man, last question I have for you is, what was the last song you listened to?
The last song I listened to, Punishment by Biohazard.
Punishment by listen, that's good. He went right into it, because I always ask people, like, what song? Yeah, Punishment by Biohazard. Yes, indeed.
I mean, I was thinking, I was like, because I was kind of cleaning up a little bit, and I was like, what do I listen to? And my playlist isn't very organized, I guess you could say, in that, like, I don't really have a lot on there, so a lot of the songs come in rotation pretty frequently, and that happens to be one of them. And that's a good jam. That was a band that I kind of wrote off for a long time, that I'm like, holy fuck, why did I sleep on these guys? They're awesome. Did you guys ever play with them?
No, you know what? When Bones was with them, possibly. I know I did.
Okay.
The biggest people we played with Volbeat, who's just on another level right now. I can't say how.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that Volbeat tour was so amazing, man. All the tours have been great, man.
I don't think I've ever listened to Volbeat.
Oh my goodness,
because I heard you mention them before.
Yeah, Volbeat's amazing, man. They really are great guys.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Last thing, sir, is please give my watchers and listeners your podcast, social, and merch info, please.
Yes, sir. Okay, so you can follow me on YouTube. I actually rebranded it as the TNF podcast. It seems to be a little more palatable to the sensitive eyes and ears. But it's always going to be Teen Fuckery. Like, it is what it is. You can follow TNF Podcast on YouTube. You can follow. I don't have an Instagram for TNF because they were letting me put on little videos, and then they weren't. So it'll probably just be a thumbnail and a link to the video, but I don't have it yet. Hell's Heart Co. on Instagram. hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Is it all right if I show some of the shirts real quick, just to kind of give people a preview? This is the Hell's Heart Collegiate. It's got a back. Kind of going for a hardcore theme. Here's the OG logo. Let's see here. I wanted to show this one off because Justin and I did this one, and we're really proud of it.
Run, devil, run!
And I wore that on our episode, the one we did. Yeah. And he's also got the.
You said it's Scott Foose, right? Was it
Don Foose? Yeah.
Like Chip Foose.
Yeah,
when you said that for a second, I was like, is Chip Foose?
Yeah. Everybody asks if he's related to him. But this is the Repo Man one that we did. I just asked Don. I said, "Yo, what's one of your favorite movies?" He's like, "Oh man, Repo Man, Warriors, stuff like that." I'm like, "We're gonna make you a shirt that's like based on a movie, And so that's kind of my thing. Like, I do movie and like hardcore stuff. Like this one. It's Mola Ram from Temple of Doom, and we tie-dyed it. It's like a black metal version.
That's a dope shirt right there.
Yeah. All this is Justin too. All this is his awesome creative endeavors, like Star Trek. Big Star Trek fan. I'll show you one more. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites. The RoboCop versus Terminator series. I don't know if you guys can see this in the light, but they had a whole comic book, RoboCop versus Terminator, years ago, and nobody had heard about it for a long time, And but so I was just thinking about it, and I said, "Justin, you remember that?" And he said, "Yeah, dude." And I said, "Let's do a shirt." And he said, "Okay." And that was that. And I wanted to show the one that all the porn chicks wore. Where is it? No, that's not it. Oh, do I not have it? Bullshit.
It's soon to be the one with Lord Nelson's face on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so stoked to be able to do that. We're going to be doing the Live and Loud with Lord Nelson shirt. So
did Justin send you what he sent me?
Not yet. No. Maybe he just did. I don't know. So is it sick? Okay, I'm stoked. One I wanted to plug too, real quick. This is Bullet, Steve McQueen.
Yes,
Justin
sir.
did this one. This is one of our biggest sellers right
Awesome,
now.
awesome.
Buy two, get one free. And then you buy a certain they're $30, and the reason they're $30 is because you have when you get them. Well, I don't want to explain all the details of it, but it's expensive, and
It's worth
you
it.
don't want to cheap out on the quality either. Trust me. When you get older, a shitty T-shirt feels like a shitty T-shirt. And so once you're spoiled, well, it does. Once you're spoiled with this really good quality, like when I use polyester, I use a polyester cotton rayon blend shirt. Feels amazing.
Yeah.
All the porn chicks wear them to bed. So it's dope. But yeah, I mean, I just really want to, with the channel and everything, I just want to connect with people. I'm always looking for guests. If you think you're interesting, submit to me, and I'd love to have you as a guest. Do a in-studio podcast here, so if you're in the LA area, I would love to have you. We've got Eric Ronan from Bile. I don't know if we were talking about them last time. Bile and this band Lockdown. They're going to be coming on soon. And Jeffrey Hatrix from Mushroomhead. He'll be on the 15th of April. But yeah, just please, I'm shadow banned on YouTube. Go subscribe to me. And please subscribe to Live and Loud with the Lord podcast and support Mr. Lord Nelson here with all his endeavors, because it's blowing up. I really like too how you intersperse the videos with all the different segments and stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, man.
Break it up a little bit. But
I learned that from Matt Hartnett, who is Matt. Matt. I think Matt's out in LA too. Matt's a big thrash.
Who's Matt?
Matt Hartnett. He has a podcast also. And on the CMS Network. Matt's amazing.
Who doesn't?
Also. But I learned that from Matt. So I watched some of his things and I was just like, Matt, I said, Matt, I hope you don't mind. I said, I'm going to use that. And he's just like, nah, man, it's all love. It's all love, man. So, yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I love using them, but I don't typically do them in the middle of the video. But I think that's kind of a good idea because it the retention rate on here sometimes I'm like, I know, it's not very long. And
that's right. But see, I like to talk though, and see, it's just as important to me because I'm enjoying myself. So and listen, I pray that it resonates with people, to watch or whatever. But I just want to do me, and the people that are going to like and love and subscribe and support. I thank them so much because I have some people that I love them. And so I'm just thankful, and I always tell people, I said, it's all love with me. You either love me or you love to hate me, but it's all love. So that's just the way.
I feel like if people are hating you, you're probably doing something right.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Well, once again, Jay, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Namaste, job bless. That's my outro.
I love it.
So,
hey, you ever seen Russell? I know he's over where he is. So you ever see Russell Simmons out there doing his yoga stuff when he comes back to LA once in a while? Well, anyway, my wife got him a couple times to wish me a happy birthday, man. Russell Simmons is one of my favorite people.
No way.
Anyways,
I'd be curious to know where he does it, but that's cool.
When he comes to town, but he's over in Valley somewhere over there right now. Where he's got this thing over there. But
we'll have to do a Def Jam mock shirt and get him to wear it.
Hey, 100%. 100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you know who it is. It is yours truly, the Lord Nelson. That is from the podcast Live and Loud with the Lord on the CMS Network with 5 Royals Entertainment. And we have the amazing, one more time, amazing podcast host of Tea and Fuckery, Jay Curtis Strickland. Thank you so much, young man.
Oh, man, you're the best. You're awesome, man. Thanks. It's been a pleasure.
You're looking in the mirror. All right,
and I'd love to have you back, man.
Yes, sir.
So anytime.
Same with me, man. Thank you so much, man.
All right, man. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, peace.
up? You're listening to Live and Loud with the Lord, Nelson, that is.